can share my screen now. Okay, here you are. Okay, can you see my file?
Yes, yes, of course. Clear.
Yeah. So, how about my voice? Is it clear?
Perfect.
Okay. Okay. Good. Afternoon. Good. Morning also to fellow Brazilians. Um, Thank you for the opportunity for Brawijaya University for inviting me for this very um, honorable moment. Yeah, it's a joint lecture between Brawijaya University and also Brasilia University, and I'm here as special envoy from University of Indonesia. So speaking of Brazil, um, so I'm actually football fans. Yeah. So every time I go to the World Cup, I always cheer for the Brazilian team. So and with that, I think many Indonesians also share the same feelings as for me. Yeah. In the World Cup, because we don't have any to cheer to. Yeah, in the World Cup, because maybe the first and the only time we managed to go to the World Cups in the early 1900s, yeah, when we were still colonized by the Dutch. But still, yeah, we still love football, yeah, given the lack of quality, but we still love football, and football is actually part of our culture. It's actually similar like fellow Brazilians. So with that respect, we're actually very close to each other. So this prologue is actually, I want to tell something with this prologue, why this is actually very important in actually bridging and connect between the two countries. But before I move forward, now I want to actually tell you a story. Yeah, maybe it is a bedtime story for Indonesians here, because this is an artwork story between ASEAN and also Indonesia. Um, Let me begin with international trade, because this is a lecture. I believe we can sense some basic of international trade. Yeah. So international trade is actually an interaction. It's a partnership, yeah, between two or more countries. So we do so because we cannot comply and we cannot fulfill our own needs. Yeah. We are actually living in a much more connected way than before. Richard Baldwin, so not so long ago, just suggesting that now countries are actually living in a convergence. Yeah, we are seeking for a great convergence. Yeah. Now we are moving at the same path, the same way towards globalization and regionalization. So, um, why we need each other? Because yeah, as the theory suggests, that we have a comparative advantage. When it comes to comparative advantage, it means that we have something that you don't have, and you have something that we don't have. So we trade. That brings the partnership. Under the Axel-Holden model, yeah, we export things that we are capable of producing, and we import things that we are not able to produce. So we create partnership. We create mutual benefit to each other. And that is actually the basic of trade. It's a partnership. It's a friendship. Now, the gravity equation in international economics suggests that in order to make trade intensify, we need several things. Yeah. Through the gravity equation, we know that there are two most common variables: size and also distance. When it comes to size, we are talking about GDP per capita, population. Um, what else? Income per capita, yeah, already mentioned it. Yeah, so it measures the size, but not only size, we also care to distance. Okay, that is why it is actually easier to form a regional partnership. We have ASEAN, for example. We have also the EU. We have ASEAN Plus scheme. Not so long ago, we just actually signed the biggest trade deal and the biggest trade scheme in the world, yeah, under Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. One third of the total output coming from this region, ASEAN plus several countries. All in all, we have 15 countries within this RCEP region. But then again, physical distance, as the gravity equation suggests, this is the Newtonian gravity equation, of course. Yeah, but the international economics adopt this equation, yeah, in order to understand how we have the flows in trade, how we have the flows in investment. By the way, trade and investment is a nexus. When you have trade, means that you have also investment. You have investment, you're actually creating trade. So from several simulations, yeah, ex ante simulations, yeah, to presume and to forecast the impact of trade, usually we are actually measuring the cost of not joining trade. Yeah, for example, under RCEP, just last year, yeah, when it comes to measurement, we are actually trying to measure the cost of joining and the cost of not joining. Yeah, but the cost of not joining is actually we have the trade diversion and also investment diversion. So trade and investment is actually a very significant matter in terms of trade flows and also partnership. Okay, so coming back again to distance. It is true that forming partnership within the same region is actually easier. But we must bear in mind that with technology, yeah, as Baldwin suggests, that we are now facing the third unbundling. Yeah. When it comes to trade, actually, we can trace this back through the prophecy era, yeah, the times of the prophet. Yeah. At that time, we also had trade, yeah, yeah, provincial trade. We have also interregional trade and so on and so forth. But it's actually very basic trade. But then come along the Industrial Revolution, yeah, that is actually accelerating, yeah, the industry, hence the trade. With that in mind, yeah, the technology is evolving and coming to the second industrial revolution, the third industrial revolution, and the fourth industrial revolution. Yeah. Now we can have this advancement in technology. Baldwin says this. Baldwin treat this as this third unbundling in his book, The Great Convergence, yeah, the Great Convergence in between countries. Now, with the technological advancement, non-physical distance is no longer a matter. So with that, the most troublesome and constraining, maybe not constraining, but the most significant distance is no longer measured by geographical distance, but non-physical distance. What are they? Politics, language, culture, education, development proximity. So ASEAN has been established since 1967. But in terms of intra-regional trade share, it's quite limited. So it's only between 24 to 25% intra-regional trade share within ASEAN countries. So we need more than that. 25%, is this big or small? Okay, if we compare it with European Union, they have more than 70% of intra-regional trade share. So In terms of economy, we are lagging behind in ASEAN. So we need the pull factor. The pull factor are coming from the ASEAN Plus scheme, the plus countries. That's why we have the RCEP, yeah, ASEAN plus 5 countries minus India, yeah. At the very original version of RCEP, we have also India, but yeah, India withdrew, yeah, from RCEP. Then we have ASEAN plus 5 countries. But then again, it's still one of the biggest. It's not one of the biggest, but the biggest trade scheme in the world. So ASEAN alone is not going anywhere. ASEAN need the pull factor, the plus scheme. Yeah. When it comes to ASEAN plus scheme, it's actually quite open. We have open and soft regionalism. We can absorb various countries. Yeah. But again, yeah, one of the most plausible and most significant, yeah, hypothetically speaking, is actually coming from non-physical distance. That's why Indonesia and Brazil, we share the same interests. That is very much in line with my prologue earlier. We love football. I know Neymar, I know Pele. Yeah, of course you don't know Kurniawan Dwi Wiranto, but as Indonesian, we see Brazil like, yeah, we know you. And then we are not that different. You have favela, we have rumah kumuh. Your kids are playing in the street, the same. You're also playing football or soccer in the street. In terms of development proximity, we are close. Yeah. So in that sense, we can intensify trade through this, maybe the so-called intangible factor. Non-physical distance, but this is actually very mutual. We share the same culture, although we don't share the same language, but yeah, we can find similarities as well, differences. But in terms of trade, we are actually seeking for similarities. According to the data, of course, now we are growing together, yeah, as a part of the global production network. Yeah, in terms of ASEAN, we are actually part of the Japanese production network since the very beginning. Then it comes with China. China established their own production network, and then came along South Korea. But from the very original version of the Akamatsu flying geese model, yeah, this model suggests that Japan was actually the one that introduced this production network in Asia, with the second, third, and the third tier countries. China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, South Korea is actually one part of the big production network. That is why we are actually moving together in terms of the production network. That also goes with the rest of ASEAN. Nowadays, ASEAN is a part of global value chain and the global production network. So ASEAN is actually serving as one of the most important hub in the world. We have the ASEAN going anywhere, yeah, because ASEAN alone is, just like I said, it's not going anywhere. So we need the pull factor. We need to become a hub, important hub in the world. And although, if specifically mentioning Indonesia, so in terms of the global production network, we are actually still lagging behind. Yeah. So pre-COVID, this is the pre-COVID situation. Yeah. We are still lagging behind. So in terms of ranking, so I can show you here the ranking in ASEAN. Okay, so when it comes to ranking in the participations in global production network, we're lagging behind. Yeah, even if I put also Vietnam here, Vietnam is still above Indonesia. Indonesia is a big country and voicing ASEAN in G20, but in terms of the global production network, in terms of the productivity level, we are actually still lagging behind. This is the pre-COVID situation. But fortunately, COVID is actually for Indonesia the necessary evil. Although we are quite struggling with this situation, yeah, among other things, of course, we are still struggling. We had this negative growth, yeah, throughout 2020, minus 2.07%. And this is one of the worst since 1998, of course. But in terms of trade, in terms of investment, yeah, usually economists think at the margin. So we see whether it is going south or going north. Yeah. And the trend is going north, going upward in terms of export, in terms of trade. Why? Because now we have the massive relocation effect from the big countries. Previously, the big countries, just for example, the US, Japan, most of the European countries, they have this production network and they are actually seeking for efficiency with China. Yeah, China is actually establishing their one of the most efficient global production network in the world. But COVID-19 changed things. So under the circumstances, we have relocation factor. So the big countries, the big boys, now are seeking for resiliency, not only efficiency, but now they are seeking for resiliency. In terms of seeking resiliency, in the elusive quest for resiliency, now they are moving away from China, expanding their portfolios, yeah, to ASEAN countries. So we can see the data. And Indonesia in 2020 is actually having that kind of momentum. Although it's a very short stint, a very short momentum for Indonesia, but yeah, we have that momentum. Yeah, we need also to maintain the momentum. How we maintain the momentum? In 2020, we have the omnibus law. This is actually creating the necessary condition, necessary and also sufficient condition to institutionalize productivity. Yeah. We have the institutionalization in workers, jobs, and also investment. So with that, maybe, just maybe, we can have a stronger growth in the future. Because just like I argue in my book, Globalization, Productivity, and Production Network in ASEAN, in chapter 3, yeah, in order to escape from middle income trap, we need to push export in order to have high growth. So in what average, yeah, we still have several more years until we are actually, lost our steam. Yeah. So maybe around 2030 or 2035. Yeah, there's actually our time to manage things. There's actually our momentum. Why? Because we are actually having this demographic bonus. So we need to capitalize this demographic bonus. And to capitalize this demographic bonus, we need to spur the growth momentum. Yeah. At least we need 6 to 6.5% of economic growth until 2030 and 2035. Yeah. So in order to have the 6 or the plus 6% growth, we need to push export at least 9% of growth year on year. And in order to push this 9% export year on year, we need to increase our productivity and efficiency. Yeah, one of which is measured by I-core, incremental capital output ratio. We have now the I-core is somewhat lies on 6 plus. Yeah. The ideal I-core should be around 5. Yeah. So the less you have the I-core, the more efficient the economy. So with that, we need the upgrade in human resource. We need an upgrade in infrastructure. Of course, also the trade liberalization. Yeah. Without trade, without investment, we cannot move, we cannot grow. And also with the ongoing institutionalization, we need also to improve business climate, or else we cannot escape from middle income trap. Yeah. Under that situation, under the economic hysteresis that is coming from lacking of intervention, lacking of the short-run intervention, we might become old before we get rich. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Before to Mrs. Chairman.